So yeah, okay, that's good to know. Okay, so yeah, Last of Us 2 was the ending cap, Shadow Colossus, Horizon Zero Dawn, and God of War. Um, so yeah, a bunch of games were announced or shown off, and some of these games already seen, or already know of. Um, but some of these other games that there was a few surprises here and there, but nothing too much. So Greg, I'll go quickly to you. Like, what came out for you for that press conference, or for what was
I
revealed?
think Guacamelee 2 is easily like the top thing that I was like, oh my god, I'm excited because I didn't really get to play Guacamelee 1 when it was new. So I'll get to play this one when it's new, and I'll get to experience it with everybody at the same time. So that's super exciting for me. I think the I mean, well, here's my hope. Is I hope Guacamelee 2 is also it's not just exclusive to PS4,
All right.
but we'll see. Uh, Sorry, I'm reading the chat at the same time, and Valaire's being a jerk. Um, but no, I don't know. Like, my issue with the PS4 thing is the PlayStation event is I don't really own a PlayStation, so it's hard for me to be like, I'm really excited about this, I'm really excited about that. I will say this: they did show off footage of Shadow of the Colossus remastered or whatever.
Yeah, that game looks so good.
Holy crap! I was way wrong.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't imagine that it would be that much better than the original. No, that game looks stunning now.
it's
Like,
insane how good
like
that game looks.
I was massively impressed. I was like, whoa! Like, honestly, if you are such a big fan of that game and you're like, I have to get this new one, I wouldn't even fucking question it. Like,
Yeah.
I just have a little bit of issue with like getting remastered versions because it's hard for me to justify that. But
Mm-hmm.
with this one, I'm like, oh boy, like that's absolutely fantastic. So,
Yeah,
the
definitely.
Raiders just scored. I'm sure you heard that. But no, I was gonna ask you, what other games did they say? Because I know there were some other ones that I had on my mind, but I've kind of forgotten.
So one of the big ones that stood out to me was the first initial trailer, Ghost of Tsushima. That was a game that was it was cool looking. It was just a CG trailer, like nothing really as far as like into details what it could be or what it may be. But we finally figured out what Sucker Punch has been working on this entire time, because we haven't heard from
Okay.
that company in a very long time, and those are the guys who made the Infamous series. So that was one of the interesting things for me. Outside of that, honestly, like Spider-Man, I'm really hyped for. Marvel Spider-Man, I'm very interested to see how that goes with the story.
Respectively, I was hyped for that before this anyway. So like they could have shown literally Peter Parker doing homework, and I've been excited. So
Yeah, I like the fact that like Peter Parker and I think Miles are interacting with each other. Like they,
that's interesting. That's super interesting because if I remember correctly, like the universe that Miles Morales takes place in, Peter Parker doesn't.
yeah, I believe this is their own offshoot. I don't think they're completely basing this 100% off the comics, because yeah, obviously Peter
Oh well,
Parker.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
no argument there.
yeah.
It's more to the extent that I'm like interested that they're doing that.
I wonder if they're gonna be a team up at some point. Miles and Peter Parker. That'd be sick. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
it's rad. Like
mhm.
I'm super excited for that game. Like that's the game that I want to buy a PS4 for.
Yeah, for sure. Um, there really hasn't been really much any standouts as far as the games that were announced. I think Splunky 2 again was a surprise to me. I didn't think that game was gonna get a sequel. That game was already good as it is, but apparently it did.
Again, are these games gonna be exclusive to PlayStation? Like, why are they being shown at
So
the
that
PlayStation
so
conference?
Splunky 2 is only a console exclusive, time exclusive. It's not going to be PS4 exclusive. So
Okay,
some of these games are exclusive to PS4, but some of these are a time exclusive. Um,
please don't make Guacamelee exclusive.
I'm pretty sure that they'll be back on other third parties. I hope so. That game is really good. These games are really good.
I hope so too. Like I said, I really wanted to play Guacamelee 1, and I remember when it came out on Xbox One, it was like a free to play. It was like one of the first, not free to play, but first games for gold games.
Hmm.
And but of course that ship had sailed, and now it's like back to $20, and it's kind of like it's such a game. Like I like to play new games all the time, and it's kind of older now, so that sounds awful. If you put that in the wrong context, but
Right. I do want to ask you this because like this, The Last of Us 2 trailer that was shown, um, it got like a lot of people talking for obvious reasons, as far as like how brutal it was and didn't need to be that way, and Naughty Dog coming out and saying like this is an adult game for adult gamers. This is exactly what we're trying to tell.
I know what you're talking about, and there's this attitude that drives me nuts nowadays, where it's okay to tell artists what to do. That somehow with some people it's okay to sit there and say, "Oh, I don't like that thing, so no one else should get to enjoy it." It's bizarre to me that that's the thing. Yes, David Cage doesn't write great stories. That doesn't mean he's not allowed to put harsh content within his story, like domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, Naughty Dog probably doesn't have to go ultra violent with their game, but they're gonna to make it more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, watching a woman get hit in the hammer or get hit in the elbow with a hammer is rough to watch. A woman almost getting hanged is rough to watch. That's the fucking point.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be nice. It's not meant to be sunshines and rainbows. It's meant to be harsh.
And is that exactly what the studio is portraying as far as like the setting of the game? Not to say that the setting's already been doom and gloom from the first one. When we're talking about Frozen Bone and The Last of Us 2. And I had a conversation with some people on Twitter, which actually, Philip Kohler actually talked to me. I was like, oh, that's cool. But no, we talked about it, and it's like, he was like
throwing names around and whatnot. Anthony, so famous.
So no, he was saying basically that he didn't he didn't quite agree as far as like how it was displayed, because on the offset, like without any knowledge of like the previous game, and for many other people who may not even play the Last of Us game, maybe seeing this for the first time, and their first inclination when seeing that is like, that's really rough. Why would you show me this incredibly rough part of a trailer that would promote the game? And like
I know what you're getting at, and to an extent I agree with that. I think that when you're showing off the trailer, maybe don't show off the harsher moments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that's how you market a game, but on the offhand, like, that's not what I was seeing. I wasn't seeing people say, hey, maybe don't show those harsh moments you have in your game to mass audiences. Maybe wait for people to play it and experience those moments and have those feelings. But that's, again, Anthony, that's not what I was saying.
Yeah, I think that, as an artist as well, like whatever content or whatever RPG you put it out there, like everybody's gonna have a different reaction regardless, whether they like it or not, and they had their own reasons for it. What I would say for people who are not really liking the trailer, that there could be other ways to describe a very dark and grim world without having to go that far in the game, and maybe save it for the end game. But at the same time, if this is exactly what Naughty Dog wants to show off and wants to display what type of mood and setting this game is going to be when it comes out,
I was gonna say,
then this is exactly what they're going to show. And
right, I was gonna say that's arguably why they decided to show those scenes, whether it's the David Cage game or the other one, is like, hey, just so you know, scenes like this and harsher are going to be in this game.
Yeah.
If that's not something that's to your liking, then skip it.
Yeah.
Which is totally acceptable. Like, I think that's fine, but that's not how people. Again, Anthony, that's not what people are saying.
Yeah, and in a way, like, this actually is good for the industry, in a sense. Like, we always talked about how, like, or even like gamers who want to have more mature games, that games that that don't fit this stereotypical games for kids, or these games are for teenagers and whatnot. Like, if we get more games like this, like games that actually are rough, are not as
touch on some very uncomfortable topics.
Yes, exactly. The same way.
I'd like to read what Josh said in the chat real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
He says, "How does one foster discussion without bringing up topics that make one uncomfortable?" And I think that's exactly the point of storytelling that has moments like that. That art in general is supposed to elicit a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And if that reaction happens to be anger or sadness, then I don't understand the problem.
Yeah, it's to their own discretion. It's their own opinion as far as like how they feel. They can. Everybody's free to express whatever they feel as far as like how they see an art painting or an art or whatever type of medium
Sure.
they see.
Sure. I think it's totally fair for those people to say, I don't like what I saw.
Yeah, no problem.
100%. But it comes down to when they start dictating what should have been shown or why they didn't like it and why it's bad or whatever. Like, it's so, like, it's so bizarre to me. Like, could you imagine this back in the day when people were making films and somebody decided to show a flushing toilet and the masses went, well, we don't like that, but no one really knew about it until years later or until somebody happened to read it in a newspaper?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm literally talking about something that happened.
Yeah.
So two things. We live in a world where everybody has a soapbox, and with everybody having a soapbox, you're going to hear certain things. I mean, there was something recently with SNL that kind of irritated me on the same category, but that's for a different time. And the other aspect is this is not new. People being outraged by shit like this is nothing new.
It's not new. It's not new.
Every time art takes a step forward in that realm, there's always going to be people who are going to naysay it and say that it's not art or it's bad or it makes me uncomfortable, so don't show it. So I can't say that I'm surprised, but I'm still like irritated.
Yeah, and I'll take these last 20 seconds to say one other thing I totally forgot about that it's displaying on screen right now. So they have a DLC for Monster Hunter where you can actually play. I forgot her name. The character you see on screen from Horizon as in the Monster Hunter game as a DLC character.
Oh, that's right. I didn't know that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool, and I just want to put it out there before we stop here at our 15 seconds. It's a new thing we're trying, guys, so hope you guys like it.
Yeah, so we don't go 2.5 hours on a podcast.